Gurmagat Count Corla. Thomas Teocht Idir Le Fada Erna Buntáistí a Bhuineann le Gallagher Oscailte so agrú le bheith Gwyn. Cé go bhónan sin go maithúin mar hir ní mórdúin aige hort an timpachach na míoch agus folatúil atá ag titim amach níos fuide. Tá ór na chanúna búlsa le héireann. Beag tioncar ag an mealach a rounamid le hin níostíocht a dhéanamh inar gcuid gnóthaí ach na míochta inniu, mar aon leis an gcuí a dhéanamid na gnóthaí ach na míocha sin a phleanáil agus a bhanistú an tír seo go gceann na deithineanna na bhlianta. Count Corla, for a long time we've traded on our advantages as a small, open, agile economy. While this continues to serve us well as a country, we must take every opportunity to strengthen the foundations of our economy and of our society. Ireland stands at a crossroads. How we choose to invest, plan and manage our economic affairs today will shape our country's future. Budget 2026, the first in this government's term, represents an opportunity for a renewed economic fiscal approach, an approach that places the long-term development of our country at its heart and that strives to deliver better outcomes for all. To improve people's lives, we need to ensure that the decisions we make today are grounded in the best interests of our nation. Our vision is to create a thriving country where enterprise can flourish and people feel valued regardless of background, ethnicity, sexuality or gender. This is our opportunity to be a caring country defined by stability, tolerance and progress for those who were born here and those who have chosen to make Ireland their home. We must challenge the voices who try to use diversity to divide us. Instead, we will continue to celebrate the differences that elevate our cultural identity and our national heritage. This is the flag we must fly, moving forward together. In the face of many threats over recent years, our economy and our people have been remarkably resilient. While there are challenges that we've yet to overcome, it's important to acknowledge that Ireland is a successful country. We have a strong economy with over 2.8 million people in employment. We have high living standards, long life expectancy, excellent educational outcomes and a progressive system of social supports that work to ensure that the most vulnerable are protected. We must safeguard what we have worked so hard to build while striving to become more competitive, protect jobs and create new ones, investing, building more homes and excel as a country that is open for business, open for investment and open for opportunity. Lagan an buséid an lé inniu bunsra síos don na blianta atá amachróin. Tá ómis an deis inis tógáil an runse sin watha le todhchaí rathúil a chinsú de bhuintear na hÉireann. Today's budget lays the foundations for our future. It shifts the focus from isolated departmental or sectoral needs to our country's broader strategic priorities, considering the trade-offs and choices we'll face along the way. Reforming how we spend public money must be a priority. This is a key focus for me as a minister and for this government. It has been central in all my discussions with all ministers through 2025 and in settling departmental allocations for 2026. This government has taken the decision to moderate spending increases, providing more targeted and permanent measures, making the best use of the resources that are available to us. We're doing this to secure the long-term sustainability of the public finances. The programme for government is clear in its ambition to secure our country's future, and today's budget is an important milestone on this journey. While we cannot do everything in a single budget, the allocations I'm setting out today will deliver permanent impacts that make a positive difference to people's lives while also investing at record levels in our future. Budget 2026 is built on three priorities. First, we will ramp up our investment in vital infrastructure, which will boost productivity, protect jobs and support long-term growth. Second, we will make targeted improvements to public services, making sure they are reliable, accessible and efficient. And third, as set out by Minister Donoghue, we will strengthen our economic foundations so we are better prepared to weather future uncertainties. To support delivery of these priorities, I'm allocating €116.8 billion in 2026 an €8.1 billion increase on this year's allocation. An additional €6.1 billion will be allocated for current expenditure, with the budget for capital projects increasing by €2 billion. The current expenditure package will provide €2 billion for social protection to provide for our growing population, expand existing schemes and deliver a series of targeted new measures. €1.5 billion for health to hire more frontline staff and enhance the level of service that is being provided for. €1.2 billion for public service pay agreements, and a further €1.4 billion is being provided to broaden supports across many sectors. Overall, this will support an increase of 12,500 staff to deliver services directly to the public, including 3,370 in the health sector, 2,600 in the education sector and up to 1,000 in An Garda Síochána. I will also be setting aside €1 billion in a contingency reserve to be held centrally. This will allow us to respond to exceptional in-year expenditure pressures in 2026 and will fund elements of the costs related to Ireland hosting the EU presidency. 100 years ago this year, a fledgling state showed ambition and action. At that time, Ireland faced a very different set of challenges, a young state with scarce resources emerging from war and conflict. And yet the state had the courage to commit 20% of its national budget to build Oireachtas, one of the most ambitious engineering projects in the world at that time. In the way Oireachtas transformed the state then, we're again at the beginning of an infrastructure revolution that will require that bold ambition. We must embrace this opportunity with the belief and the confidence that we can shape the destiny of the next generation. This is our duty to the children born here today. We must confront head-on the systems and mindsets that have made delivery so difficult. Without change, we will see critical shortages of power and water within a few years. Congestion on transport networks will grow. Our ability to deliver more homes will be impacted, as will opportunities for investment and job creation. To address our country's infrastructure deficit, we must be prepared to radically overhaul how we deliver public projects. Next month, I will publish a detailed action plan to tackle these barriers of delivery. This will include plans to progress legislative reforms to strike a better balance between the rights of individuals and the public good, simplify regulation and consenting systems to make it easier to deliver projects, reduce the administrative burden and cut the red tape of our rules and guidelines so that our systems are not delaying much needed investment. Alongside these reforms, I have provided record levels of funding through the recent National Development Plan, the largest capital investment plan in the history of this state. Through this plan, Government will provide €275 billion over the period to 2035, prioritising funding for water, energy and transport, the building blocks to deliver more homes. In 2026, I will allocate €19.1 billion for capital investment, an increase of €2 billion on 2025. This will provide funding to progress thousands of new build social homes, major water infrastructure projects and flood relief schemes, build sustainability and resilience in our electricity grid and boost our electricity supply, and major projects across the transport, health, education, justice and arts sectors. Details of specific projects to be delivered in 2026 will be announced shortly, with sectoral investment plans for the next 5 years to be published by departments in the coming weeks. It's critical that we deliver these investments. The urgency with which we need to make progress can so clearly be seen when we look at housing. At Corla, this government's absolute priority is to strengthen the foundations for housing delivery and build more homes for our people. In 2026, I am allocating a total of €11.3 billion in funding to the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage. Almost €2 billion of this funding will continue to meet the social housing needs of over 100,000 households through the housing assistance, rental accommodation and social housing current expenditure schemes. Within this, I am allocating €7.2 billion in capital funding, the largest ever such allocation for housing. This will include €2.9 billion to support the delivery of thousands of new build social homes and the second-hand acquisitions programme, €1.2 billion for the Starter Homes programme to deliver thousands of starter homes through a range of affordability supports alongside the Help to Buy initiative. €300 million will support the regeneration of our towns and urban areas through the Urban Regeneration Development Fund. €205 million will be allocated to a new Housing Activation Infrastructure Fund to support the work of the new Housing Activation Office. €140 million being allocated to retrofit further social homes, and €130 million will fund up to 17,000 adaptation grants of homes for older people and people with a disability. These measures, in addition to the tax changes just set out by Minister Donoghue, will make a real difference in the delivery of housing across our country. But to build these homes, we need to provide the critical building blocks of water and energy. In the National Development Plan, I've committed to providing €12.2 billion in capital funding to expand our water and wastewater services. Following through on this commitment in 2026, I'm providing €1.4 billion to Uisce to continue to build essential capacity to support new housing developments and to increase the resilience and sustainability of water supply. This will help to further progress the development of wastewater treatment plants right across the country. I'm providing €3.5 billion to ESB and EirGrid to strengthen our energy security and accelerate our transition to renewable energy. Building on this, I'm allocating €1.1 billion to the Department of Climate, Energy and the Environment in 2026. This includes €558 million in carbon tax revenue for residential and community energy upgrade schemes. Continued investment in the retrofit of public buildings to support the delivery of our national retrofit plan, €209 million for the Climate Action and Environmental Leadership Programme to support our climate objectives and enhance biodiversity. Within this, €82 million has been prioritised to support a just transition for the wider Midlands region. Projects include decarbonising rural bus routes, support for private bus operators to transition to electric vehicles, wetland restoration and support for nature and biodiversity. Just as our investment in energy lays the foundation for a sustainable future, our approach to transport must ensure that this future is accessible to all. Our country's progress is driven by connectivity. Modern, efficient and effective transport systems unlock the full potential of our towns, cities and communities. Today I'm announcing a €4.7 billion allocation to the Department of Transport for 2026. This includes €940 million for a public transport public service obligation to support our public transport network, connecting communities and people's access to education, work and leisure. We will also continue the rollout of the DART Plus programme and Bus Connect programmes in Dublin and our regional cities, including the construction of 2 core bus corridors in Dublin, the Cork Area Commuter Rail Phase 1 and the Enterprise Fleet Replacement projects. Several major road projects, including the Adair Bypass, the N5 Balhadreen to Scramogue and the M28 to Cork to Ringaskiddy, and a major investment of greenway and active travel projects will be funded and developed in 2026. We will also continue to invest in aviation and maritime connectivity and to provide a world-class search and rescue service through the Irish Coast Guard. Additionally, as outlined in the National Development Plan this year, €2 billion from the Infrastructure, Climate and Nature Fund is being allocated to progress Metrolink. Planning for this transformational project has been approved. Now it's time to deliver. As our infrastructure brings us closer together as a country, our public services bind us as a society. The strength of our public services and what we choose to prioritise is a statement about what we value as a people, and Ireland has a social welfare system that protects the most vulnerable, an education system that consistently delivers talent, and a health service that contributes significantly to improved health outcomes for many people. This progress has been delivered through consistent investment and targeted decision-making across many years and has raised the standards and expectations for what can be delivered. While it's important to acknowledge what works well, we must continue to focus on improving our systems of social support. The Government cares about our people and has designed a progressive budget that delivers permanent and targeted social welfare measures that will shield the most vulnerable against cost of living rises. Ceann Comhairle, I'm pleased to be able to provide for a Christmas bonus for 1.5 million recipients of long-term social welfare schemes this year. This will be paid at a rate of 100% of the normal weekly payment and will provide much-needed support to families over this seasonal period. Next year, I'm allocating €28.9 billion to the Department of Social Protection, an increase of over €2 billion. This allocation allows me to provide an increase of €10 per week for a person receiving a weekly social protection payment. This will benefit 1.5 million recipients, including pensioners, people with disabilities, carers, job seekers and lone parents. To support people with disabilities and carers, I'm increasing the carers allowance income disregard to €1,000 for a single person and €2,000 for a couple. I'm also increasing the rate of domiciliary care allowance by €20 per month to €380 per month. In the programme for government, we have committed to lift more children out of poverty, guided by a new child poverty target of no more than 3% of children living in consistent poverty by 2030. A multi-year programme of supports begins today. I'm happy to announce a €300 million package of supports for children and families. As part of this, I'm increasing the weekly rates of the child support payment by €8 for children under 12 and by €16 for children over 12, the largest ever increase in this rate. This will bring the weekly payment to €58 for children under 12 and €78 for children over 12. I'm also increasing the working family payment to income thresholds by €60 per week for all families. I'm also extending the back-to-school clothing and footwear payment to 2- and 3-year-olds. To support those at risk of energy poverty, I'm increasing the weekly fuel allowance rate by €5 to €38, and following the recommendations of the National Energy Affordability Task Force, I'm also extending fuel allowance eligibility to all households in receipt of the working family payment. This will help protect around 50,000 families from energy poverty. Alongside these new measures, the 2026 allocation for the Department will provide an additional 30,000 recipients on pensions, illness, disability and carer schemes. The full-year cost of job seekers' pay-related benefit introduced earlier this year and continued support for over 50,000 beneficiaries of temporary protection from Ukraine, including lone parents, pensioners and other vulnerable cohorts. In addition to this substantial social welfare package, the State will also deliver one of the most significant reforms in our history through the introduction of pension auto-enrolment from January 1st, 2026. My Future Fund is designed to support workers who are not currently part of any pension plan. Over time, it's expected to benefit around 750,000 people, securing a higher income in retirement for workers. These measures ensure that we improve the lives of our people through sustained investment and better public services. One of the most essential services provided by the State is our public health system, which safeguards the well-being of individuals, families and communities right across the country. 2026 will see a total funding package of €27.4 billion going to the Department of Health. This record level of investment will deliver an increase in acute hospital capacity of at least 220 beds and the expansion of diagnostic services, at least 280 community beds, continued investment in the community nursing units refurbishment programme and reductions in community waiting lists, an additional 1.7 million home support hours, 500 more nursing home places, increased staffing and expansion of mental health services, including suicide prevention, increased access to CAMHS services and traveller mental health initiatives, and enhanced community and primary care services, including the rollout of the new pharmacy contract. The value of this record level of investment needs to be fully realised with a focus on productivity, efficiency and better financial governance. These changes will create the basis to establish a more multi-annual structure of funding our health system. Accordingly, this year's significant funding allocation will be accompanied by a programme of progressive reform in our health system. These include the ongoing decentralisation of service provision through the new regional health areas, rostering reform which will see the extension of health services to evenings and weekends, and a reduction in the dependency on agency staffing. Financial management reform which will allow for improved financial reporting, better use of procurement and increased expenditure control. Investment in digital health, including the HSE Health App, the National Share Care Record and virtual wards. Another area of investment relating to health is disability, and this programme for government commits to advancing the rights and improving the lives of people with disabilities. To progress these priorities, I'm allocating €3.8 billion to the Department of Children, Disability and Equality for disability services in 2026. This includes funding for community-based disability services to ensure people with disabilities receive the right support at the right time in the right place. It will provide permanent and predictable funding and deliver tangible impacts for people with disabilities. Over 9,000 people will receive the residential care they need, including 250 new placements next year. 1,400 young people finishing school will be supported with day services places, along with 50 additional places for older adults. Families waiting for assessments will see progress, with around 6,500 private assessments funded to reduce delays. More than 150,000 hours of home support and personal assistance will help people to live independently in their own homes, and 10,000 overnight and 15,000 day respite sessions will be provided. To drive reform, a dedicated unit has been established in the Department to lead a review of Ireland's disability service model. This unit will work hand in hand with people with disabilities, their families and representative organisations to shape a long-term vision for services out to 2030. Just as we strengthen support for people with disabilities, we're equally committed to delivering systems that support and protect our young people. To make progress in this area, I'm increasing the funding for early years by €125 million in 2026, bringing total investment in early learning and childcare to €1.5 billion. This will fund the National Childcare Scheme, with more than 285,000 children set to benefit from the scheme in 2026, an increase of approximately 35,000 children. Universal early childcare and education, benefiting over 105,000 children in 2026. The access and inclusion model for an increasing cohort of children with disability to access and meaningfully participate in formal childcare. A 10% increase in the capitation rate for AIM Level 7. Year 4 of core funding, with enhancements in Year 5 of the scheme to improve pay for educators and school-aged children practitioners, with the implementation of new employment regulation orders. The Building Blocks Infrastructure Programme will fund extensions of existing community centres and schools to deliver approximately 2,300 additional childcare places. Investment in our child welfare services is also a key priority for this government. This year, €1.3 billion is being provided to TUSLA to provide for foster care, family support services and additional residential care placements. Ireland has one of the strongest education systems in the world, with some of the highest ranking PISA scores for literacy. The programme for government sets out concrete commitments to support our young people. And to begin on delivery on this, the Department of Education and Youth will receive a total of €13.1 billion in 2026. This allocation will provide for 1,717 additional SNAs for students with special educational needs in 2026, the highest number of SNAs we have ever had in our education system at almost 24,900. Along with an increase of 1,042 teacher posts, including 860 additional teachers working across various special educational needs settings, including in mainstream, special classes and special schools. Continued investment in the school transport scheme, bringing 170,000 students to and from school. Additional funding is now being provided to support the implementation of DESH Plus and a new DESH plan, supporting children at risk of educational disadvantage with targeted measures. The planned rollout of the education therapy service that will commence in special schools providing access to essential therapy services. Additional funding for young people through youth services is being provided, with an increased focus on capital investment. I'm also announcing an increase in the standard capitation rates paid to all schools. This will include, on a per pupil basis, €50 for primary and special schools, from €224 to €274, €20 for post-primary schools, from €386 to €406. In addition to this, the Department's €1.6 billion capital allocation for 2026 will progress the delivery of over 300 school building projects, with the majority of these expected to be completed in 2026 and 2027. Within this, there will be a strong focus on the delivery of additional capacity for approximately 2,800 places for special classes and special schools from the first tranche of projects as well under the Climate Action Work Scheme. It's important to remember that learning doesn't end with childhood. It can be a lifelong journey for us all. And the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science continues to foster adult learning and the development of the skills and the needs to support our workforce and our enterprise sector. In 2026, the Department will receive an allocation of almost €5 billion. €4.1 billion will allow for increased delivery of apprenticeships to support key infrastructure projects for the economy, the provision of 1,110 new places in key health and social care professions to meet the workforce needs of the health, disability and education sectors, a permanent reduction of €500 in the student contribution fee to support students facing living expenses, and an €810 million capital allocation will fund key infrastructure projects, including the recently established Taoiseach Éireann will be supported to drive excellence in research, attract international research talent and promote knowledge transfer. Student accommodation projects at Maynooth University and University College Dublin. Development and operation of 11 technological university facilities covering 70,000 metres squared and supporting STEM and related disciplines. 2 new veterinary medicine colleges to almost double the number of veterinary graduates. The progression of centres of excellence for retrofit skills, including near zero energy buildings, and the National Demonstration Park for modern methods of construction under Housing for All. By nurturing talent, we can strengthen our nation's competitiveness on the global stage, ensuring that a thriving enterprise sector is at the heart of our economic resilience. At Count Corla, this government is committed to supporting our businesses. I'm allocating €1.3 billion to the Department of Enterprise, Tourism and Employment. This will fund Enterprise Ireland to strengthen its capacity to support Irish businesses in scaling innovation, accessing global markets and creating high-quality, sustainable jobs. The IDA to continue to attract world-class foreign direct investment to our shores, the promotion of regional enterprise development through local enterprise development offices, the establishment of a national artificial intelligence office to provide a focal point for the promotion and adoption of transparent and safe AI in Ireland, and the delivery of action plans on market diversification, competitiveness and productivity. €223 million is also being provided under the Tourism Services Programme, reflecting Government's commitment and recognition of tourism as a vital driver of regional development and employment. This range of supports will enable us to fully capture strategic opportunities and enhance our position as a trading economy on the world stage. We must also cement Ireland's diplomatic presence and place on the world stage. As we witness the horror of the ongoing genocide taking place in Gaza, we must recommit our state to continue to use all our considerable diplomatic resources to support peace in our world. To support the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade to do this in 2026, I'm allocating €1.3 billion. This will ensure that Ireland continues to expand our global footprint, with the number of missions abroad reaching 107 next year, boost our official development aid by €30 million in 2026, and support the implementation of Government's action plan on market diversification. Provision has been made in the overall budget ceiling for the requirements of the Presidency of the Council of the European Union. Specific funding allocations on this will be made available in due course. As we enhance our role internationally, it's important also to consider our largest indigenous export sector, the agri-food sector. At the heart of towns and villages across Ireland, agriculture and food production is a cornerstone of our economy. To continue to support this vital sector, I'm allocating €2.3 billion to the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine. €85 million in additional funding will more than double the allocation for bovine TB eradication, enabling the rollout of the Bovine TB Action Plan and reducing the risk of outbreaks. Funding for the Acre scheme will increase by €20 million to reach €280 million in 2026, continuing to support over 53,000 farmers. €20 million will allow for the continuation of the National Sheep Welfare Scheme, which assists over 17,000 farmers, and €35 million will be provided to the World Food Programme to support people affected by emergencies, conflict and climate change internationally. Government is committed to continuing to support our fishing communities and aquaculture sector. €7.4 million in increased funding is being provided to Bord East Gawara programmes to support and enable a sustainable Irish seafood sector. Another area where Ireland thrives in the global arena is in culture and sport. For a small country, Ireland offers an extraordinary wealth of talent and entertainment. Our artists, writers and athletes are now leading the way on the world stage, while our media keep us connected to each other and to global stories as they unfold. To build on the progress we've made, the Department of Culture, Communications and Sport will receive an allocation of €1.5 billion in 2026. This provides for a €10.7 million increase in current expenditure for Sport Ireland, €3 million of which will support the establishment of League of Ireland football academies. Ireland has a proud footballing history at both domestic and international level. However, despite the enthusiasm for the game here, our youth development structures have not kept pace with other countries. In addition to rule changes following Brexit means many more young players are staying in our domestic system for longer. This presents us with a responsibility, but also an enormous opportunity to nurture our brightest young talents here at home and provide them with the best environment to fulfil their potential. The investment I'm announcing here today is the start of a multi-annual commitment from this government to focus on grassroots and build a new era for football in our country. I'm also allocating an additional €1.6 million to support inter-county Gaelic Games players and funding to support the Irish Rugby Football Union to strengthen high-performing pathways for women in rugby. The success and achievements of our sporting heroes inspires us all and brings that collective ambition to be better. When our sportsmen and women succeed, our nation rises. The same can be said of our artists. Throughout our history, our arts community and the world-class talent it boasts has ensured Ireland has always been a home of creativity. In recognition of the essential role of arts and artists in our society, the previous government introduced a pilot basic income for the arts scheme, and this government is now committing to deliver a successor scheme to begin next year. In addition to this, I'm allocating €84.9 million for arts and culture in 2026 to provide for increased funding for major projects such as the Crawford Art Gallery. I'm also allocating €433 million to support the completion of the National Broadband Plan, while €5 million in additional funding will strengthen the post office network to enhance its role at the very heart of rural and community life. The 2026 allocation of €357 million to broadcasting will include provision for Seasca Chui Punca Cahar euro do TG Cahar, Lennon Aritz méidiú Chui Punca Cahar million euro, Chonáver Gaeilge archives on Clár de Fáistí agus servicetí nuachta níos leith na chintú. €65.4 million for TG Cahar, including a €5.4 million increase to ensure high-quality Irish language content, children's programming and expanded news services. Support for the continued delivery of the reform and transformation agenda in RTE. Celebrating our culture means celebrating the people living in the towns, the villages and the communities right across our island. This government is committed to supporting vibrant, inclusive and sustainable communities throughout Ireland where people can live, work and connect. We will continue to support the Shared Island Initiative, doubling resources by a further €1 billion out to 2035. In 2026, this will deliver the major Narrow-Water Bridge and Ulster Canal restoration projects will forge ahead, a new Dublin Derry Air Link to commence, enabling regular air travel between the two cities, and there will be programmes to develop the bioeconomy, support green capital investment by firms, grow tourism across our border regions, and enable world-leading research collaborations. This important work will allow us to continue to develop consensus around a shared future on our island. This government is committed to supporting vibrant, inclusive and sustainable communities throughout Ireland where people can live and connect. Today I'm allocating €611 million to the Department of Rural Community Development in the Gaeltacht. This funding will support a range of target initiatives. I'm allocating €192 million to rural development and regional affairs in 2026. This includes an increase of €5 million for rural supports and the Rural Regeneration and Development Fund. An increase in the current allocation of €9 million for community development supports brings the total allocation in 2026 to €260 million. This includes €4 million in increased funding for the Community Services Programme, bringing total funding to over €59 million, €3 million in additional capital funding for the Community Centre Investment Fund to support refurbishment grants for community centres, and €3.8 million in increased funding for the Peace Plus programme to support the drawdown of committed cross-border projects in 2026. Tá sé ríhabhata go déifeamis na réigiún Gaeltachta Herberts agus a cosins lena cinsú go mé na muil teanga agus cultúr seo abalta fás agus Ferberts. Tá me gledálaigh €150 million don Gaeltacht agus don na Hillan, sin méadú €3 million le haig fiche. San ámh sa bhéadú sin beidh €1.5 million in mhaoinú capital de bhunagar na Nillan, lena Oireachtas ar tús a chur leis an obair fiabhsacán ar an gcé ar ina siar. €2 million déag in mhaoinú capital do Heradú Gaeilge agus cultúr, €3.5 million in mhaoinú méadaithe de scéim na taithíocht Gaeltachta agus Gaeilge. Strong communities thrive when people feel safe, protected and supported. At Ken Corla, everyone who lives in this country should feel safe in their homes and in their communities. With this in mind, I'm announcing €6.17 billion for the Department of Justice, Home Affairs and Migration. This will fund a range of measures, including the recruitment of up to 1,000 trainee Gardaí in 2026, an additional 200 civilian staff, further intakes into the Garda Reserve, and €19 million to increase the budget for Garda overtime. An additional €39 million for the Irish Prison Service to respond to demand trends, an increase of €11 million for the Court Service, over €6.7 million of additional funding for the Irish Probation Service, and additional funding to complete the rollout of local community safety partnerships. €11.5 million of additional funding will provide for domestic and gender-based violence initiatives in 2026, and a further €7.3 million will continue significant progress in youth justice interventions. Further investment will support international protection processing to increase capacity, as well as providing for costs associated with international protection and temporary protection accommodation. In the area of reform, the Court Service will continue its modernisation programme, implementing and rolling out e-probate and a range of other measures to significantly reduce processing timelines and improve the service to the public. Targeted investment through the probation service and youth justice schemes will help to divert young people away from crime, tackle recidivism and will reduce the need for detention where appropriate. In addition, work will continue to free up Garda numbers to spend less time at administration and more time on the front line and in our communities, in addition to the focus on developing the Garda Reserve. Ireland is committed to safeguarding our national security while contributing to international peace and stability. To support these goals, I'm announcing €1.49 billion in funding for the Department of Defence for 2026. This represents an 11% increase and will provide for a net increase of 400 net Defence Force members, the creation of 50 new civilian posts next year, the recruitment of additional 70 civil servants to work in critically important areas such as cybersecurity, and a range of non-pay measures, including a new Defence Force uniform, equipment and maintenance projects, enhanced recruitment advertising, additional funding to progress maritime security, digital transformation, and training and healthcare supports for the Defence Forces. This investment will also enable the progression of ongoing reforms arising from the Commission on the Defence Forces and the Independent Review Group's recommendations. I'm also funding a range of infrastructure projects in defence in 2026, including the progression of the military radar programme, procurement of a modern software-defined radio system, rollout of a new general service body armour system for the Defence Forces, the ongoing upgrade of armoured personnel carriers, and further modernisation and renovation of military installations throughout the country. At County Corla, the success of our state and its people over the last 100 years can be seen in our ability to adapt and thrive. For all the challenges we have faced, we have persevered, we have always found a way. Time and again, we have turned uncertainty into opportunity, challenge into success. Budget 2026 is our country's collective step forward towards a fairer, better and more resilient future. We know what our challenges are, and we must now grasp the opportunity to overcome them. We must build a foundation for our future, homes, communities and a country connected by a clear vision of a bigger and brighter future for ourselves and for our children. Is é seo an bóthar ceart tír agus ar níne. This is the right path for our country and our people. I commend this budget to the House.
I now call on the Leader of the